Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1944B, and today's date is August 15th, 2019, and the title of the episode is C Before D, It's Getting Ready to Blow. Now, before we get started, I want to talk about being prepared. Every day, we see the deep state pushing events. Who knows what the next event will be or what they will try next? We are now in a cycle of strange weather patterns, earthquakes, hurricanes, and more. Almost every American is at risk in some form. This is why I prepare with my Patriot Supply. Right now, save 50% on a 2-week emergency food kit. The 2-week food kit includes breakfast, lunches, and dinners that last up to 25 years in storage. Give yourself a peace of mind and save 50% on my special website. Preparewithx22.com. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, before I get started, I just want to mention that the X22Report.com site, well, it was hacked, and the hosting company said that it's too far gone and they can't allow the site to be up. The good news is that I have been working on a brand new site. It is almost finished. I have to put the finishing touches on it, and I'll be bringing that up in a couple of days. So there will be a time period where you will not see the X22Report.com site. But to view the reports and listen to them, you can go to my Twitter account, which is twitter.com/X22Report, or go to YouTube and just type in X22Report, or go to Steemit and just type in X22Report, and you'll be able to listen to the X22 Report on all these platforms. And when the site comes back up, yes, once again, you'll be able to listen to it on the site. Now, the deep state, they are panicking like we've never seen before. How do we know this? Well, they don't come out and say, "Ooh, I'm panicking." What happens here is they start to tweet out. They start to expose themselves, and they try to get ahead of what is coming. And this is exactly what Adam Schiff and many others are doing. And we're watching all of this happen in real time. Adam Schiff, he's been tweeting out about deepfake videos. And his recent tweet is the following. This video is a testament to the rapid advancement of deepfake technology. But beneath the humor, the nearly imperceptible shifts between faces reveal an undeniable fact. It's now harder than ever to discern fact from fiction, and that poses a serious threat to our democracy. Think about why he's saying this. He's letting us know that you will not be able to tell the difference between a real video and a fake video. Well, that's completely false, because the same AI technology that allows you to morph the faces, that same technology can detect what is real and what is fake. And there are certain professors that are developing this and scientists that are developing this, and I do believe the NSA has the ability already to distinguish between what is real and what is fake. But the reason why he's doing this is because he knows very, very soon all this information about Epstein, about the D-Class, about FISA, it's all about to drop. And we're going to see video. We're going to see pictures. We're going to see documentation. And they're going to try to use the argument that these are deep fake videos. These people in this video, they're not them. I mean, we need to go back to post 868. Now, Q back then gave us, here comes the fake videos. This is from the New York Times. This is when they started it. I mean, if we go back, this is March 4th, 2018. And Q says, try as they might, fail, they will. No free passes. Mainstream media, and that is in all bold caps and in kill brackets. And right there and then, you can see that they already know that they're planning on this. So if they told us that they were going to start to tweet out and the mainstream media was going to put out these articles, they're already prepared to counter this argument. Now, very interestingly, the deep state IRS analyst John Fry, he pleaded guilty to leaking Michael Cohen's bank records to Michael Avenatti and the New Yorker. Now, he did this believing he was doing the right thing. But guess what? He broke the law. So he chose politics over the rule of law. And now he's being sentenced. And he faces up to 5 years in prison. Remember, times are changing. Before, yes, the rule of law didn't mean anything to those people. They just got off scot-free. But today, the rule of law means something. Now, we're hearing that officers are leaving the CIA. I mean, we heard this before, but let's first go to Mary Beth Long's tweet. And it says, rumors flying. Officers leaving from CIA report on all hands stop-loss message received from the director. The first anyone can recall, at least while the country not in active combat. Personnel loss has reached a critical stage. Now, this is very interesting because in post 129, this is November 9th, 2017, Q posted closing act. Now, the word closing has CIA in caps in kill brackets. So that's CIA dismantled. Impossible to clean. Operations with an arrow, no such agency, Q, NSA. So from this post, Q is letting us know that CIA is going to be dismantled. And it's very odd and very strange that officers are now leaving the CIA. Boom. Now, as we know, Trump, Giuliani, Solomon, they all reported on the subject matter regarding Biden and his son Hunter in Ukraine and China, where they made a lot of money. They made millions of dollars. Remember, there was a regime change in Ukraine, and back during this period of time, we reported on it, saying that this was a planned regime change. And as soon as it was over, all of a sudden, Hunter Biden went onto the board of directors of the gas companies in Ukraine. And so did John Kerry's roommate. And now, we've heard Giuliani talk about Ukraine. We heard Trump talk about Ukraine. John Solomon reported on Ukraine. And Chuck Grassley wants this investigated. He wrote a letter to Mnuchin to investigate Hunter Biden. It has begun. Biden is going to be in trouble. He's already in trouble. Everyone's saying he's losing it. A lot of things that he says don't even make sense. I don't think he's going to be in the running that much longer. I do believe that the walls are closing in on him, and eventually he's going to say, I'm out. We'll have to see how this plays out. Notice how the Patriots are dripping out the information. We are seeing a lot more of it. They're bringing the American people up to speed, and they want them to get used to hearing all the player names over and over and over, because once the time comes, they're going to remember all these names. It will be in their subconscious, and this is why they're doing it. Now, what's very interesting, Adam Lovinger, a former Defense Department analyst, never expected that what he stumbled on during his final months at the Pentagon would expose an integral player in the FBI's handling of Trump's campaign and alleged Russian collusion. Now, Lovinger, he's a whistleblower, and he's battling to save his career. The Pentagon suspended his top secret security clearance on May 1st, 2017, when he exposed through an internal review that Stefan Halper, who was then a Cambridge professor, had received roughly $1 million in taxpayer-funded money to write Defense Department foreign policy reports. Before Lovinger's clearance was suspended, he had taken a detail to the National Security Council as a senior director for strategy. He was only there for 5 months before he was recalled to the Pentagon, stripped of his prestigious White House detail, and ordered to perform bureaucratic make-work in Pentagon Annex, the land of misfit toys. So his security clearance was eventually revoked in March 2018, despite the Pentagon refusing to turn over a single page of its purported evidence of Lovinger's wrongdoing. Was he on to something? Yes, he was. When Mr. Lovinger raised concerns about the Department of Justice misuse of Stefan Halper in 2016, he did so without any political designs or knowledge of Mr. Halper's spying activities. He unwittingly shined a spotlight on the deep state secret weapon, Stefan Halper, and threatened to expose the truth about the Trump-Russia collusion narrative back in 2016. And I feel that they believe that he was getting too close, and if he kept probing into Stefan Halper and into what was going on, he would have exposed the entire thing. And I do believe this is why he was stripped of his security clearance at this time. Now, Judicial Watch, they have released 72 pages of documents from the Department of Justice containing Russian-related emails sent from Nellie Ohr to one of her Department of Justice husband's underlings. Nellie Ohr was emailing a top Department of Justice official named Lisa Holton, while Ohr was being paid by Oppo research firm Fusion GPS. The emails reveal Nellie Ohr was providing the Department of Justice with the same kind of anti-Trump Russia Oppo research she was doing for Fusion GPS. And just like Tom Fitton said, Nellie Ohr may as well have had a desk at the Justice Department. All these individuals, they're being caught up in the documentation, the emails, the text messages, because they never thought she was going to lose. And this brings us to Hillary Clinton. This brings us to her emails. And what's very interesting is that more and more of this information is being brought out into the open. They're dripping the information so people understand what was going on. Yes, we all understand because we've been following this for a very long time. But the people who have been sleeping, they need proof. They need to be shown facts. So with the Freedom of Information Act and all these requests that are coming out now, these are the facts that people can use to show people, to say, look, this is why Clinton was let off of the whole email scandal. We have more information now. So with this recent Freedom of Information request by attorney Ty Clevenger, it resulted in a plethora of new and unredacted information concerning the actions of the corrupt FBI and Department of Justice, where they tried to cover up, which they did cover up during this period of time, and exonerate Hillary Clinton's email crimes. What was released was truly shocking. The Department of Justice and Clinton Mills lawyers, Miss Wilkinson, jointly drafted an agreement with the FBI that showed anything but a fair and honest investigation into Hillary's email crimes. That agreement the FBI made with the Department of Justice limited the search parameters to months, not years. The FBI could only search for 4 Clinton email addresses, regardless if the email address was later altered to some other address. No emails from Cheryl Mills were permitted to be searched. This ensured that no emails covering the destruction of evidence was even permitted to be examined. The FBI agreed to perform an investigation where they weren't even allowed to look at the evidence. Next, while still being under preservation order, Clinton just arbitrarily decided to change email retention policies and delete all emails older than 60 days, which amounted to all emails from January 2009 through October 2014 to be deleted. The FBI agreed not to examine any evidence surrounding the BleachBit event, despite the fact that the FBI knew about the BleachBit event before agreeing to this. Add on top of all of this, the FBI agreed to delete any evidence they encountered that was outside the agreed parameters. And then, of course, the FBI destroyed the laptops. In addition, if the headers for the BlackBerry emails were missing a date, those emails were excluded from the investigation as well. Then, on top of all this, immunity agreements were given to anyone connected with Hillary. 2 of Brian Pagliano, 1 for Paul Combetta, 1 for John Bentel, 1 for Cheryl Mills, 1 for Heather Samuelson. Then we find out the following. All but 4 of the 30,490 emails from Hillary Clinton's unauthorized email server were forwarded to a private Google email address featuring a name similar to a Chinese company. Virtually every email that was sent to and from the Clinton email server was forwarded to carterheavyindustries@gmail.com, which raised concerns for a foreign actor which gained access to Clinton emails after an intelligence community inspector general investigator searched Google for Carter Heavy Industries and came up with a result for Shandong Carter Heavy Industry Company Ltd., and this is according to the documents. Shandong Carter Heavy Industry is a Chinese manufacturer of excavators and heavy machinery. Now, this is odd. Why would this happen? Why would everything be forwarded to this? Was this how they were selling information, committing treason? Frank Rucker, the ICIG investigator, and Jeanette McMillan, an ICIG attorney, told the FBI about the anomaly on February 18, 2016, at a meeting which included Peter Strzok, who had just taken over as the section chief heading the investigation. Rucker told Congress that Strzok was aloof and dismissive and didn't ask many questions. So what's very odd is, why wasn't anyone concerned with this? These people were telling them, but nobody cared because they wanted to make sure that she won the election. McMillan told Congress that her understanding of the Carter Heavy Industry email address was that it was a drop box to which the emails from Clinton's server were sent in real time. Even if you didn't address an email to this address, the email went there anyway. So it looked at the metadata information, and said, okay, forward it to this email address. In the olden days, what they used to do when they were selling secrets to different countries, they, sit down at a park bench, they take a piece of chalk, they mark an X, they put the package, maybe under a bush. Someone would come by later, pick up the package, and they would have the information. Today, all you have to do is create an unsecure server, allow foreign individuals to access the unsecure server, and have emails forwarded to a different address automatically. I mean, it's the same type of crime here. It's called treason. And all this information is now coming out. Why was it withheld? Why didn't they investigate? Because they wanted her to win the election. They were covering for her. And it's all coming out now. People are starting to learn. Now, if you just told people that she was doing this in the past, people would say, hey, you're crazy. But now, since the Freedom of Information requests came in, and they're documented, and people can see them, it's a different story, isn't it? Now, as we know, the deep state uses ammunition to change the news cycle. But as we know from Q, ammunition is hard to come by. I do believe right now that they're out of ammunition, the deep state. It takes a while to plan these certain events. And just recently, which is yesterday, there was a shooting incident in Philadelphia. And it was funny because all the mainstream media, they were covering it and they were all looking at it, and this is terrible. And it was a terrible thing. 6 police officers got shot. But it didn't fit their narrative, because the person who had the weapon was a criminal. So how did they get the weapon? I don't think this individual would be able to breeze through a background check to get the weapon. So this individual must be getting the weapons from someplace else, but they don't want to talk about that. And I noticed today, guess what? They're really not talking about it. Yes, while this was going on, Kamala Harris and the rest saying, oh, if I was president, I'd be going door to door and this wouldn't happen. Yeah, if you went door to door, that person trying to get the weapon, they'd be shot. That's what would happen. And again, that is against the Second Amendment anyhow. But what's very interesting is I think what the deep state's going to do to try to keep this whole gun control thing out there, I think they're going to try to pick up on every little shooting that's going on. And if it's not what they want, they're just going to drop it. And they're going to try to keep the gun thing going and trying to keep it in people's minds. But I don't believe it's going to work. I think it's going to fail. Donald Trump tweeted out the following. The Philadelphia shooter should never have been allowed to be on the streets. He had a long and very dangerous criminal record. Looked like he was having a good time after his capture and after wounding so many police. Long sentence. Must get much tougher on street crime. And he did. He had a lengthy history of gun convictions. He had convictions of other street crimes with drug sales, assault and resisting law enforcement, and many other things. So this was a criminal who had a weapon. And you know he didn't go through the proper channels where he went through a background check. The FBI checked him out and he got a weapon. He got his weapon in other ways. Think about prohibition when you think about all this gun control talk. When they got rid of alcohol in the United States, does anyone really believe there wasn't alcohol out there? No, it just moved to the black markets. They made a fortune. Isn't that how the Kennedys made their fortune? And yes, the elite, they were drinking alcohol. Just because you think it's banned, it is not banned. Listen, drugs are banned. Are they still out there? Yes. Remember what this is all about. This is about creating a gun database. So when the time was right, they could collect all the weapons from law-abiding citizens. This is why John Kerry brought in the UN Arms Treaty. The Senate never passed it. Obama would sign it. And within this UN Arms Treaty, it was to create universal background and to have a gun registry database. If you notice, they're trying to continue with this because they do believe that they're going to be in power once again and they'll continue on with their agenda. But they're sadly mistaken. Now, the autopsy for Jeffrey Epstein, it came out and it revealed that he had several broken bones in his neck. Now, the autopsy found that Epstein suffered several broken bones in his neck, including the hyoid bone that is regularly broken during strangulation or homicide. Now, Dr. Mark Siegel explained this all, and he went on to say, it certainly increased the chances that this was a murder than a suicide. Let me tell you why. The hyoid bone, which is right here in the neck, it's a U-shaped bone. In his case, the autopsy is now revealing that multiple bones were broken in his neck, including the hyoid bone. The hyoid bone might break in strangulation about 1/3 to 1/2 of the time. In suicide, hanging, it might break 6 to 10% of the time, depending on which study you look at. Much less percentage, but in order to break that bone and multiple bones in the neck, you have to exert a lot of force if it's a hanging. Now, think about this. He's on a bunk bed with a sheet. How much force do you think he had when he was on his knees? No, there was not a lot of force. And this is why they're saying, oh, it looks like he had some assistance. And again, we kind of all knew this. Where are the videotapes? What was really going on? It doesn't make sense. Now, Jeffrey Epstein, he shipped a $50,000 cement trunk to his island. And he did this last November 7th. Why did he have a cement trunk there? Well, Q actually let us know on April 3rd, 2018. This is post 999, and this is what it says. Why is Epstein spending $29 million to bury the tunnels underneath the temple on Epstein Island? Problem? Phones were allowed in. These people are stupid. Q. So think about it. Epstein realized that he was being investigated. He decided to bring in a cement trunk. He paid extra to have it there. And they figured, let's cement everything over to get rid of all the evidence. Now remember, FISA works both ways. Remember, everyone that entered had a phone. The entire place was videotaping everyone. You don't think they have all the evidence they need already? Q is letting us know that these people are stupid. Now let's look at a complete list, and this is thanks to the Gateway Pundit. They broke it down of all the anomalies surrounding Epstein. Number one, Epstein said he was considering cooperating in naming names in his international sex ring. He was found unconscious in his prison cell just 3 weeks earlier. 2 days prior to his death, documents released for the first time implicated several top Democrats in his pedo sex ring. He was taken off suicide watch after a failed attempt just 2 weeks earlier. That's where they set up the stage that, he's suicidal. He was in isolation, unusual for a suicidal individual. The cameras malfunctioned. There is no video. Even Mexico had a video of El Chapo's escape from prison. It's funny, their cameras worked. Then later, we hear the camera showed the guards did not do rounds. Which is it? The prison guards had worked several extra shifts last week. One prison guard on his floor was not even a certified guard. The prison guards forgot to check on Epstein. The prison guards slept through their shift. The guards did not check Epstein for several hours. There were reports of screaming the morning Epstein died. The MCC had not seen a successful suicide in 40 years. Epstein said he was the victim of attempted murder 3 weeks ago. Epstein's former roommate is facing mass murder charges. Epstein had dirt on numerous globalist elites. Epstein was not given paper sheets. Epstein had sheets in his cell to hang himself. Epstein was not suicidal according to medical professionals. Epstein told his lawyers on Friday, a day before his death, "See you Sunday." Epstein's former roommate heard nothing. Epstein's reportedly had to get on his knees to hang himself from his bed. Epstein's autopsy showed broken bones in neck, common in strangulation deaths. And when you look at all this, you can see that this was a planned hit from the beginning to the end. And they can call it a suicide. They can call it whatever they want. But think about this for a second. What are the odds of all of this happening the way it happened? Think about that for a second. Logical thinking. Q has always told us to use logical thinking. Don't believe the mainstream media. Don't believe the headlines. Look at it. Observe it. Research it. Then think to yourself, does this make any sense whatsoever? No, it doesn't. Now, today is the official resignation of Coates. And this brings us back to post 3570. Q says, C before D. Coates before D class. The month of August is traditionally very hot. You have more than you know. Well, C just happened. What's next? D class. Everything is about to blow. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.